My name is Melissa Everett, and this is the story of the most difficult decision I've ever made. I met Jesus when I was about 7 years old. I accepted him as my Lord and Savior and then became baptized, and I continued to go to church all throughout my childhood, into my teenage years. Even when I was going by myself, I went every Sunday to church as often as I could, and even as a young adult, continued to go to church. So I was previously married at the age of 20, and although God continued to be a big part of my life, he was not a part of our marriage, and that led to a very broken marriage with a lot of abuse. Growing up, I always thought that divorce was wrong. I believed in my heart that divorce was wrong, and I swore if I ever got married that my marriage would be forever, and that was the way it was going to be. And then I found myself in a very bad situation of a marriage and realized that was really my only option. After my marriage ended, I met my now husband Brian through work, and we began dating. It was a long distance relationship, but it worked at the time. And before I knew it, I was head over heels in love. And just a few months into our relationship is when I found out that I was pregnant. After I found out I was pregnant, I honestly felt every single emotion that a human being can feel, from being elated and excited to scared and worried and just hopeless, because I knew it was not a good situation to be in at that time. And after several weeks of struggling with the decision, we finally decided that we would not have the baby, and we ended up having an abortion. I grew up knowing that abortion was wrong, and yet I found myself making that decision. After the abortion, I felt alone. I really felt like I was all by myself. I had no one to talk to, no one to reach out to either reassure me or just, tell me that everything is going to be okay, or just to be there for me and share in my grief. It was something that was very difficult, but I felt it was necessary for me to ask God for forgiveness, and truly tell him how I regretted my decision, and just seek his forgiveness with my whole heart. And that's exactly what I did. I wish I had known that there were resources available. I wish I had known that there were people that were willing to listen. I wish I had known that I had other options, other places that I could turn to for help. But I think most importantly, I wish I had known that there were people out there that were willing to support me and to be there for me and with me. One of the people I ended up reaching out to, who I was actually the most nervous to talk to about my decision, was my grandmother. She was my spiritual person. We called each other our Jesus buddies. I mean, we both love Jesus, and we love to talk about it. And when I finally opened up to her and talked to her about the decision that I had made, it was probably one of the best feelings I'd had since the decision. I felt like a weight had been lifted off of my chest. I felt relieved. And most importantly, I felt that, she listened to me, and, she still loved me despite the decision that I'd made. My life has definitely evolved into what I call a beautiful mess. Brian and I ended up getting married. We now have 4 beautiful children, and we juggle daily life as a family of 6 in what we call our beautiful mess. So with the birth of each of my kids, I was always reminded about the decision that I made several years before. But I also felt a sense of redemption, that God was telling me that he still loves me, and that, life is still good. And I felt like he was telling me to continue to move forward. And I truly felt like I really felt the redemption the most when we found out we were expecting twins. So a couple of years after my twins were born, I was having a conversation with a friend at work about my whole story and talking about the twins when they were born. And I explained to him that I had kind of wished that the boys had been born on April the 3rd because that was the day of my abortion. And they were actually born 3 days later. And my friend reminded me that God performed a miracle 3 days after Jesus was crucified. When he died, he rose him from the dead 3 days later. So now that's how I choose to remember that. And every time I look at my twins, I think about God's love and how he forgave me and how he has redeemed me. And now he not only replaced what I took away, but he gave me another child as well. And I'm so thankful for God's love and forgiveness, and for just the blessings that he's giving me. And I hope that by sharing my story, I can help someone else to see that there is hope, that there is forgiveness, that there is redemption, and that we serve a mighty, loving God who loves us despite our failures and gives us the things that we certainly don't deserve, but he loves us enough to bless us with a beautiful mess of a life.